Why are we spending time discussing accounting during a course on investing? In Lesson 3, we talked about the importance of risk-reward analysis when investing. Like we said, it's the one skill that the greatest investors all seem to excel at. To properly evaluate the risk-reward ratio for potential investments in the stock market, accounting is an essential skill. That's why we're going to focus on accounting this lesson and the next one. Let me ask you something. How would you like to spend the next 2 years reading a 1,000-page book on accounting? Don't worry. Even though having a comprehensive knowledge of the subject is an asset for an investor, our goal with this lesson is to show you what is possible with accounting, to give you a sense of it. To get started as an investor, you need to understand a few pages from a company's financial statements to analyze an investment to a pretty good degree. The 3 most important pages are the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. Accounting is the language of business. It's how companies show what they own and owe, and it's also how they show how well or poorly they're doing. But hold on, accounting is so much more than that. Understanding it can help turn dull financial statements into exciting novels, filled with mystery and intrigue. You may see nothing more than pages filled with rows of numbers, but others see Shakespeare. Analyzing financial statements is like entering a giant maze. To get to the prize, you must find the correct path through it. So, we are going to start with the balance sheet, focusing first on its general structure and purpose. It's one of the first things an investor should look at when considering investing in a company. The reason for that is that high levels of debt can be a warning sign. Debt represents the amount of borrowing by a company, and it's one of the most common ways that companies get into serious trouble. The balance sheet is organized into 3 main categories: assets, liabilities, and shareholders' equity. Assets are what a company owns, and the liabilities and shareholders' equity are how they paid for it. Assets must equal the total liabilities plus the shareholders' equity. That's the golden rule. Remember, a balance sheet is a snapshot in time of what a company owns and owes. It's like a bank account statement for a business. What are assets? Assets are essentially the resources that a company owns and utilizes in its operations. These might include items typically found on a company's balance sheet, such as office equipment and computers, industrial machinery, and transportation vehicles. It's important to note that a balance sheet does more than just list a company's assets. It also offers valuable insights into how the company operates and its underlying business model. We'll explore this in more detail shortly. Assets are generally divided into 2 main categories: current assets and non-current assets. Current assets are those expected to be converted into cash or consumed within 1 year. These include items like the company's cash on hand, inventories, and accounts receivable, which represent the money customers owe the company for goods or services provided on credit. Current assets reflect a company's short-term liquidity, indicating the resources that can quickly be turned into cash if necessary. Unlike current assets, non-current assets are not expected to be converted into cash or used up within 1 year. Instead, they are held for longer to support the company's operations and generate future income. Non-current assets include things like property, plant and equipment, trademarks, or office equipment. In the second part of this lesson, we'll explore intangible assets. Intangible assets have significantly contributed to some of the stock market's most remarkable success stories. What exactly are intangible assets? Unlike tangible assets, such as office computers which you can physically touch, intangible assets are not physical. They include valuable rights and legal claims like patents, trademarks, and copyrights. But just because you can't touch them doesn't mean they're not worth much. A company's liabilities are also organized into current ones and non-current ones, like is the case with assets. These liabilities are what a company owes to its suppliers, bankers, and other creditors. Let's discuss current liabilities first. These are company obligations that need to be paid within a 12-month period. One of the most common types of current liability is what is called an accounts payable. These payables represent amounts owed to suppliers or vendors for goods and services that have been received but not yet paid for. Think of a grocery store. It periodically receives shipments of food items. Then it typically has 30 days to pay its suppliers for those shipments. That amount owed for those supplies is recorded as a current liability on its balance sheet. Non-current liabilities are obligations that are not expected to be paid within the next year. They represent long-term financial commitments and include things like loans or long-term leases. A loan from a bank, which doesn't require repayment within 12 months, is an example of a non-current liability. Now that we've talked about assets and liabilities, we are left to discuss shareholders' equity. Shareholders' equity measures what is left over after you subtract the company's liabilities from its assets. It's the residual value owned by the shareholders of the company. Here's another way to visualize the relationship between assets, liabilities, and shareholders' equity. Let's say that you want to buy a large pizza, but you only have enough money to pay for half. You form a company and fund it with your own money. Then you borrow the rest to pay for the pizza. The pizza is a symbol of the company assets. Those assets are owned by you and the person who lent you the money to help buy the pizza. As long as you owe the money, you're only entitled to eat half of the pie. If you can't pay back the loan, the person who lent you the money gets the other half. Let's go through a hypothetical balance sheet so you better understand it. The top half lists all the assets that a company owns. At the top are the current assets. In this case, the company holds $500,000 of cash, $1 million of inventory, and $1 million in accounts receivable. Total current assets are $2.5 million. The bottom half of the assets section of the balance sheet lists the non-current assets. Our hypothetical company has $500,000 of intangible assets and $20 million in factory and equipment. Total non-current assets are $20.5 million. Add that to current assets and total assets equal $23 million. Now let's get to the liability section. At the top, we start with the current liabilities, which again are obligations that a company has to pay off within a year. For our hypothetical company, for current liabilities, they have $1 million in accounts payable owed to their suppliers. Below that, the balance sheet lists non-current liabilities, which in this case amounts to $10 million in bank loans. That means total liabilities equal $1 million in accounts, payable plus $10 million in bank loans for a sum of $11 million. Now that we have total assets and total liabilities, shareholders' equity is what is left over when you subtract the liabilities from assets. It is what the shareholders are entitled to after all liabilities are paid off. In this case, it's $12 million. As you can see in the exhibit, total assets equal total liabilities plus shareholders' equity. Now pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Assets are recorded on the balance sheet at their cost, not their market value. This is a very important distinction. You will see why by the end of part 2 of this lesson.